The community impact of research alone, I think, is a lot bigger than people realize. And it can just, I don't want to say change the world, but I do think it can change the world. And I'm getting to do it in my undergrad. Who does that? I came to UVU for a lot of reasons. Originally was at Utah State University. I was playing D1 soccer at the time, and so we traveled like almost every weekend, so I really never got to see my family unless they had come up for a game and I could see them for a second. I'd just gotten back off of my mission in Europe, and my grandma had passed away while I was gone. I felt like I needed to be closer to home, closer to family, and UVU was 20 minutes away. I wanted to play soccer still, and luckily I had the opportunity. Chris LeMay was super awesome at letting me come and be on the team, and I started to just feel really good about it. I absolutely love it here. I've loved my professors. I am biased, but I think the exercise science program at UVU is the best there ever was, for sure the best in the state, and has given me so many incredible opportunities. I've learned so much. The professors are just phenomenal. So many great students, so many great friends, and the soccer team was also an amazing time as well. And I just feel like everything that I've been able to learn here at UVU has seriously set me up for so many things in my life. My parents have always done a really good job at making me feel like I could do anything I wanted if I was willing to put in the work, and that they would help in every way they could to help put me in those situations and get me where I needed to be. Didn't realize how big of a privilege that was my whole life, having parents that always believed in me, even when I didn't believe in myself. And it's felt the same way at UVU. It really is like a family here. And my professors, every single time I had a question, every single time I've wanted to do something, they've been there to run with me, right? Tyler Standiford has taught me so much about everything exercise science, and taking kinesiology with him first, I really enjoyed that class because it kind of was bringing together a lot of subjects that I had loved taking. I loved anatomy, I loved physiology, exercise physiology, and I felt like once I started reaching all those exercise science classes, I was like, holy cow, this is where I'm supposed to be. Every single time I'd come home from class, I would tell my husband or my family, I'd be like, this is what I'm gonna do with the rest of my life for sure. Like, I love this stuff. And then I'd go take kinesiology and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to do that. And then I took biomechanics, I'm like, oh my gosh, I have to do that. Tyler did an amazing job at showing me how you can connect the body to movement into performance or into recovery or into a million different things. And biomechanics is so cool because you get to look at somebody and pay attention to the tiny details that your eyes might not even see. You can see forces and you can see angles and so many parts about the body, and you can look at, the way someone's walking and say, oh my gosh, like maybe that's their normal, right? But also maybe there's an issue there and maybe that's what's causing this injury. I've kind of been good at not injuring myself growing up, but when I do injure myself, it's the really weird injuries that no one knows about. And that, I think, has been really critical for me in being interested in all the exercise science stuff, because it wasn't like I just broke my leg, right? It felt weirder, like weird injuries, and it was usually overuse injuries. So when I was like 16, I broke my navicular bone, which who on earth knows what a navicular bone is, right? Really weird. It's like the cornerstone bone in your foot. And so I was like, what is that? Why did I get that injury? Why me and no one else? And then in college, it's the inside of my femur bone, but it's the end of the femur bone and it's the cartilage, like when older people tend to have knee replacements, that is called articular cartilage, and it will break down and then it kind of will be bone on bone. That bone on bone is what then gets replaced, and they have to kind of put like a fake covering on there so it glides easier, right? And I basically tore a hole in that, right? And so that happened to me, and I was in a lot of pain at the end of my first season here at UVU, and a lot of things were kind of happening in my life, and it was a good moment for me to take a step away from soccer, which I never thought in a million years I would do. Looking back, I know it was 100% the right thing for me. Having that knee injury the first time, I would ask my teachers about it, right? Dr. Standiford, in class, he talked a lot about knee replacements and all these different studies during class of how if someone has an injury now, they might have one later, and all these different things, and it would just, so many questions, right? And then I think about my knee, I'm like, oh my goodness, am I gonna have a knee replacement at 35? Am I gonna, oh my gosh. And then I'd think about my family members and, maybe my mom having a back injury, or she had a double knee replacement, and so I'm like, my mom, how could I help my mom? Oh my goodness, how can I help this person that I know? And then I'm starting to notice people in the hall, oh my gosh, they walk interesting, that's weird. I wonder if this joint is funny, or their Q angle of their hips, or oh my gosh, maybe their different muscles are tighter, or different things. And I just, through all those things, it really helped me to start to hone in and recognize, holy cow, this is really something that I'm interested about, and it does apply to me, but it also applies to everyone I know, and this could be something that is really applicable for me. When I was taking kinesiology with Tyler, I knew I'd have to take biomechanics the next semester with him, and when I was scheduling for classes, he talked to me and was like, hey, you seem to really love all this stuff. I would think you would be awesome in my advanced biomechanics class, which is basically a class where you get to do research on the side. We got to create our own study and look at it in a lot of different ways. And we were able to take pregnant women, and so they just had to be at least 20 weeks pregnant all the way up until pretty much giving birth. So we had women who were 20 weeks and women who were 38 weeks. They would get this fit splint, which is basically like this belt, and they'd wrap it around their stomach to kind of support their belly, and then we'd have them go on a treadmill, which all the cameras around them, and these treadmills are really cool. They have force plates in them, so basically whenever you step, we're able to measure how much pressure you're putting, and we'd have them walk and we'd have them run. And then we're able to measure all these amazing things, and how their hip is, and the joint angles of their hip, and is that changing over time, and are their forces changing. And it was so cool to me. It was my first really raw experience with research, and this is what people don't even get to do until their master's or even their PhD, and I'm getting to do it in my undergrad. Who does that? And I get to take all this data and then get to analyze it and look at all of it and make graphs and write a paper about it, and it was so cool to me that I had that chance, and I completely fell in love with it, and it changed my entire life. The community impact of research alone, I think, is a lot bigger than people realize, and it can just, I don't want to say change the world, but I do think it can change the world. I think that every day can truly be an aha moment if we let it. It's really easy to go through the motions during a day. It's really easy to just go to school to get through school and go to school to get a degree, because then I can put it on my resume that I have a degree. But you can also go to school to learn, and you can also go to school to come out someone completely different who knows so many things and so many tools to change your life, to change others' lives, and to make a splash wherever you go. And my mom always growing up said to me, Meg, you make a splash everywhere you go. And she always said that to me, but I also always wanted to live up to that. I wanted to make a splash everywhere I went. And I think making a splash can also be very personal of, am I letting every day be a day that I will remember, and be a day that I can be proud of myself at the end of the day. Did I get it done? What did I learn today? And having that mentality going into every class, what can I get out of this? How can this help me? How can this help my family? How could this help my friend? How could this benefit me in the future? I think has completely changed school for me. I always loved school, but when you really get into it and really just do your best to get something out of it, it's crazy how much you can learn and retain and remember and let it help change you every day. UVU is a place to discover who you can become. UVU has become such an important place to me that's allowed me to see my potential and to pursue it. And I'm so grateful that I've had the chance to pursue something that I never thought I would ever be interested in or even knew about or knew existed. And UVU has provided that in such a subtle way, but it's also been so just like hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't know. It's changed everything.